Good afternoon, this is Sean Golding with Golding & Golding, here to discuss the basics of what are the Streamlined Foreign Offshore Procedures. Uh, the Streamlined Foreign Offshore Procedures refers to tax amnesty. The Internal Revenue Service provides various avenues a person can take when they have unreported offshore or foreign accounts, assets, investments, and income. The Streamlined Foreign is one of the most popular programs because there's a complete penalty waiver under the program. In order to qualify, a person has to qualify as a foreign resident, which is why sometimes it's coined expat amnesty, because it's mainly for expatriates who reside outside the country for a significant amount of time. The main, most important requirement, besides non-willfulness, is to be a foreign resident. Depending on whether the person has U.S. person status or not, there's two different tests in place. If a person is a U.S. person, which means they are a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident, then they have to meet the 330-day test. The test is different than the 330-day test under the physical presence requirement for the foreign earned income exclusion, but the IRS used the same exact numbers to make it even more confusing for you. If a person is neither a legal permanent resident nor a U.S. citizen, then they can show, or if they can show, that they do not meet the substantial presence test in at least one of the last 3 years, then they may be able to qualify for the program. They would qualify as a foreign resident. The next requirement is non-willful. Non-willful is crucial. As we've discussed many times before, the IRS refuses to provide the secret ingredient regarding non-willfulness. There's no bright line test. Rather, the individual making the submission has to use a totality of the circumstance. Looking at all the facts surrounding the non-compliance, does it prove non-willfulness? To make it even more confusing, when you're comparing it to willfulness, willfulness does not mean willful in the everyday sense of the word. Someone says the word willful, you presume that they mean intent. And in everyday life and in the criminal aspect of reporting, you have to show willfulness. The government has to show willfulness, intent. Not necessarily for FBARs and offshore reporting in the civil arena. There are lower thresholds of willfulness which can be subject to the same penalties as someone who was intentional. Some of the common phrases you might see along your research is reckless disregard, in which there's no actual intent, or willful blindness, where there's no actual knowledge. So assuming that the person is non-willful and assuming that they qualify as a foreign resident, then they presumably will qualify for the program. The program has some great benefits to it. The two main benefits are: one, a person can file original tax returns as part of the program. That's something that's not generally available under the Streamlined Domestic Offshore Procedures. In addition, the IRS waives any penalty. So under Streamlined Domestic, there is a 5% penalty. Title 26 Miscellaneous Offshore Penalties is what it's called. Depending on the complexity of the offshore assets, businesses, investments, mutual funds, etc., it can get pretty complicated. The penalty can get pretty steep. Under the Streamlined Foreign, there's no penalty. So when a person qualifies under Streamlined Foreign, it's a pretty good deal. When you submit to the program, it doesn't mean that you will never be audited, even if you are accepted into the program. But generally, since you're signing that certification under penalty of perjury, the IRS would have, it wouldn't be easy for them to turn around and just show that you're willful. And that brings me to a last point, which is you're signing this certification under penalty of perjury when you're submitting to the Streamlined Foreign. So it's very important not to make any intentional misrepresentations or any intentional omissions in your submission. Intentional omission, if you're knowingly not including a piece of information in your submission which could change the outlook, could make you seem willful, you have to be careful, because they can come back, and if they thought you were willful and they can prove that you're willful, they can penalize you pretty heavily. I'm at around 5 minutes here. That's our introduction to the Streamlined Foreign Offshore Procedures. If you want any additional information, please visit our main website at goldinglawyers.com. We have an extensive international tax law library. In addition, we have a sister site, IRSstreamlinedprocedures.com, to help answer any additional questions. Again, my name is Sean Golding with Golding & Golding. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.